Great to be here, and I appreciate your attending today. And I think there's some really nice things to talk about and celebrate, and hopefully we'll have a good conversation. Chris Conzen's not here, but I wanted to just mention, if you've not met him yet, and I know he's going to be at the board meeting tomorrow, we welcomed him to our campus community recently. He's the new executive director of the Secaucus site at the Frank Gargiulo campus of the high-tech high school. And we're delighted to have him on board. He has 15 years of experience working in a variety of student affairs and academic areas. He was actually named by the National Association of Student Personnel Administrators as Professional of the Year. So we welcome him to our community. I want to thank everyone who participated in last week's commencement ceremony or watched it on live stream video. Did anybody watch it on live stream video here? How was the reception? Good, that's what I've heard from others as well. I think we want to keep doing that if possible. But it really was a spectacular evening, moving, inspirational, as commencements always are. This one, for me, was really special. That venue is unbelievable. Unfortunately, it's not big enough, but it's really a beautiful venue. So we are going to be looking at the possibility of larger venues so that students can bring more family members. We were limited to 3 tickets per student, and as we all know, most of our students are the first in their families to graduate. Post-secondary education is really important for the family. This year we were able to provide the streaming video option, but nonetheless, what a fantastic evening. This certainly is the result of virtually every person's efforts in this room and at the college. Commencement is about everyone's efforts, so really congratulations to all of us, but most importantly to our record number of graduates. I do want to do a particular shout out to those folks that were really particularly involved in making this happen. These events, as college events goes, commencements are a true bear. As everybody knows, if you're responsible, it's a lot of work and a lot of energy required. I want to thank Lisa Dougherty and Nicholas Chevroletti, who co-chaired the commencement committee. And the following, and I always hesitate to do this because I'm going to leave people out, but this is a listing of folks that I know played a particularly large role, and so I'm going to thank them all. Hold your applause. Alexa Riano, Liz Betty Ferrer, Veronica Gerasimo and her entire team, Victoria Orellana and the registrar team, Julio Maldonado, our faculty marshals, Robin Singer, Salvador Cuellar, Claudia Delgado, Joe Gallo, Katie Sweeting and Jerry Lamb and Jeremiah Typin, Jen Christopher and her team, Marcella Williams and Jen Oakley, Jack Quigley and all members of our security team, John Marlin, Chris Wall, all of our associate deans, and so many others. Thank you all, dear college. What a fantastic and for those that I left out, please accept my apologies because I know that the list is longer than that. I'm very, very pleased to be able to say today that after a year of hard work and trust building, our remaining 3 collective bargaining tentative contract agreements will be acted upon at tomorrow's meeting of the Board of Trustees. This is pending ratification today by the Adjunct Faculty Federation. But we expect them all to be approved. As you're aware, the board approved a new 4-year contract with the Academic Administrators Association at the May trustee meeting. So with these approvals tomorrow, should they be approved, I believe they will, we will have completed some incredibly important work here. Our goals for the contract negotiations included a collaborative, transparent, and respectful process focused on making progress in addressing salary concerns that we're all very familiar with that have led to high employee turnover here. Also, outcomes that are viewed as positive, not in my eyes or the eyes of the administration or even the board, but in the eyes of our stakeholders, all of you, every part of our community. And ensuring that the outcome, while providing that kind of progress, also represented a cost that was manageable for the institution. And I believe we've accomplished all of these goals. So I want to thank all who were involved in the negotiations. Many of them are not here, but for the Professional Association, Michael Ferlise, President, Sean Egan, Allison Wakefield, and Tony Acevedo. For the Support Staff Federation, Dorothea Graham King, President, Patrick Del Piano, and Daisy Baiza. For the Adjunct Faculty Federation, Nancy Lazik, President, and Kamar Raza. For the Academic Administrative Association, Jose Lowe, President, Christine Peterson, Angela Tuzo, and Phil Cafasso. And for the administration, Eric Friedman, Veronica Zeitner, Lisa Dougherty, Vivian Ray, Anna Kropitsky, and College Counsel Sean Dias. And I also want to acknowledge Denisa McMillan from the Office of Business and Finance, and Jennifer Feliz, Narcia Auguste, and Chanel Oyster from the Office of Human Resources for conscientious support of this process all the way through. Have I left anyone out? Thank you, everyone. I think we really can do. I want to say that, you know, as in all contract negotiations, I've learned in my experience with collective bargaining that when you do it well, no one gets everything they wanted. So it's certainly true in the case of all of our contracts. Neither the unions nor the administration achieved everything they wanted, but nearly everyone agrees that the combined elements of the agreements are positive and will serve our employees and our college well going forward. As I've said all along, this particular year of negotiating multiple year contracts, which is something that has not been done in, I understand, quite a while, doesn't finish the work. And I want you to know I completely acknowledge that. We are not able to address all of the issues that we know we have to address in one fell swoop. It is going to take time, and it's going to continue to be a work in progress. When we've been able to make progress, we've tried to seize the opportunity. Early on, as we had position vacancies and we're doing restructuring, we were able to make some progress for those employees affected. When the county executive raised the minimum wage for all county employees to $15 an hour, we followed his example, even though we weren't budgeted to do that. The 4 contracts required us to finish this process, and I think in every case, if you look at the elements of those contracts, people are moving significantly forward, but we're not going to be where we want to be. We're going to have to continue our work. I'm recognizing, you know, we've been balancing so many different issues that while I think we've made tremendous progress in closing the gaps, we still have equity issues within the college that we're very much aware of. And sometimes when you make progress, you then create new equity issues. So that the next focus, which I envision commencing immediately, is going to be our focus transparently, collaboratively, on the goal of creating a position classification system that will be a component, certainly, of our next negotiations in 2022, but it will be work that starts now and leads us to that point. This is really heavy-duty work. It's going to require a consultant. It's going to require careful review of data, particularly data at urban institutions like ours, not only in New Jersey. It will involve making sure that we look at all of the impacts of changes that we're going to make, not only in the immediate future, but going forward for the institution. So it'll be a complex process, but it's an essential one to our long-term success, and I think it'll be critical in continuing the work of addressing internal salary equity across the college and providing a new framework that will help us ensure that we're paying attention to equity and that we are continuing to look at where we have gaps. Frankly, we still have gaps across the board, but I will tell you we made major progress in 1 year as an institution. So I'm anxious to answer questions, hear your comments, but I have to say I feel a tremendous sense of just thanks and gratitude for, in 1 year, coming as far as we have, achieving 4 new contracts, multiple year, 5-year, 4-year, and getting through middle states. I say both of those because neither has been acted upon yet. So the board has to approve these tomorrow, and the Middle States Commission on Higher Education actually will meet. We thought it was last week. The final meeting is at the end of June, when they will actually act upon our reaccreditation. We continue to have every reason to believe that's going to go exceedingly well. It's going to be a positive. So it's been a really, really good year. So thanks to everybody, and I certainly want to encourage discussion. Okay, moving on to something totally different. Is that money, please? No, for something completely different. Recently, I returned from a 9-day educational and business trip to China. As many of you are aware, this was sponsored by the Confucius Institute at at New Jersey City University, and it was funded by the Chinese Ministry of Education. Very, very fascinating. I had the wonderful opportunity to visit 5 Chinese universities. I met with educators and officials in the Chinese Ministry of Education. I attended cultural events and ancient sites in Beijing and Changchun, which is located in northeast China near North Korea and Russia. And the entire time I was accompanied by 10 faculty and staff from NJCU, including President Sue Henderson, Provost Dan Julius, several deans. They're deans of business, they're dean and associate dean of arts and sciences, student affairs leaders. What I learned in this visit is that there are a number of potential opportunities for us to explore. Many of these you're aware of, but I was able to see firsthand, partly by observing what NJCU is doing and being a part of all of their discussions over there, including a lot of students that are, Chinese students are coming over here. We have the potential to do a number of things that I hope we can explore together in the coming months. One is the potential to recruit students from China through partnerships with Chinese universities such as Beijing Polytechnic University that offers 2-year technical programs and with whose president I met. They don't have the community college. The community college is a uniquely American institution, but this would be the closest thing there, and they're very interested in partnerships. In fact, one of the takeaways for me that I saw just vividly demonstrated everywhere I went was, first of all, China really is in a major economic boom. You can see it around you everywhere. How many of you have been to China? Okay, so most of you, like I had never been there. Celia, you had respective press, but the buildings, the investment, unbelievable. And in Beijing, expensive cars, there's a lot of wealth. But they're putting their emphasis on education. So they view their preeminent goal of economic progress as squarely rooted in progress in education and particularly post-secondary. So they're investing big time. Every university we went to was, the facilities were absolutely phenomenal. And so they have a real interest in having students come to the United States and elsewhere to study, to bring back skills. They recognize that we have the best post-secondary educational sector in the world. But they're also interested in exchange programs. So they have already been doing some work with NJCU that has allowed students and faculty from here to have 1 month kind of cultural immersion experiences in China where they're interacting with Chinese education and getting a rich experience. We have that opportunity. Is Joe Gallo here? I don't think he is, but he and I have already talked about this. At Jilin International Studies University in Changchun, they have a very robust Model UN program. In fact, the whole university is focused on a mission for international education. So their facilities mirror cultural traditions in countries across the world. And it was kind of interesting because when we were there, they were having a major celebration. I hadn't realized how major it would be until I got there. Their name just changed and they got university status, which is a big deal. And they were having a naming ceremony. I saw it on the agenda, didn't think too much about it. When we got there, there were 4,000 people. There were presidents from colleges around the world, bands, fireworks. And we get there and I find out that yours truly is seated on stage because I'm a president of a college. Phenomenal, just watching all of this. But they have this robust Model UN program. Their Model UN students, it's a major part of their curriculum. They have a huge facility that actually looks like the UN, General Assembly room. And when they heard, NJCU, by the way, does not have a Model UN program, but we do. And so they were really interested in the idea of, could our students go to China and maybe they could do something together. And the Confucius Institute at NJCU offers, it's funded almost entirely by China. So they invest in these Confucius Institutes at four-year universities, and that's the funding that largely makes it possible for NJCU to do everything they're doing. They have hundreds of international students. When we came back to the United States, two of their delegation were going on to Ho Chi Minh City and then Myanmar and Thailand. And when we visited several universities, one of them in particular, there were 200 Chinese students wearing NJCU t-shirts, applauding, and they're going to be coming over here, and they have 2+2, 3+1 programs. There's interest in NJCU in like 1+1, one in China, one here, two at NJCU. NJCU is interested, if we are, in partnering with us and allowing our international students to use their housing. They have just invested in some major new housing. They have occupancy. And so the Chinese government funds NJCU to offer Chinese language on their campus and actually sends faculty to NJCU to teach these classes. They've offered that to us, and if we wanted to take advantage of it, it would be free of charge. It would be funded through the Confucius Institute at NJCU. So, you know, one thing I would say as a caveat is the current tensions between our two governments, China and the United States, could mitigate doing any of what I just talked about. And in fact, some of the Confucius Institutes in the United States have now been closed because the U.S. government is concerned that there may be Chinese spies involved in all this. So it's very much a moving target, but it did demonstrate for me that there's really tremendous opportunity if we choose to, and see this as sort of a next stage of our mission, to consider international partnerships for enriching our campus through bringing students and faculty here who have that foreign international perspective, but also providing our students and faculty the opportunity to go to other countries. I think it could add another dimension to our diversity agenda. So this is all work that I look forward to exploring with you. The next step is going to be arranging some meetings between some HCCC folks and NJCU folks in each of these areas, and probably some that I left out. But I'll share with you that this 9-day experience I didn't spend $1 other than some things I bought for myself, but I mean, the college did pay for my travel, which I'm immensely grateful for. That was $1,500 round trip from Newark to Beijing, and then from Beijing to Changchun, which is a 2-hour internal flight and back. But every other expense, they put us in 5-star hotels. We had tour guides. We were bused to all the sites, all the meetings, meals, toasts, all paid for by really the Chinese Ministry of Education. So it's kind of a manifestation of their desire to really ramp it up in terms of higher education. So it was a tremendous experience. Moving on to another item, next week we are going to have an HCCC team attend a kickoff conference for Achieving the Dream new member colleges in Phoenix. We'll be spending considerable time there with our ATD coaches, Dr. Mary Fifield and Dr. Renee Garcia. I want to thank the following colleagues who will attend the Phoenix meeting with me: Heather DeVries, Sheila Dinan, Sirhan Abdullah, Eric Friedman, Jason Figueroa, Joe Caniglia, and Patricia Clay. And I want to thank all members of our HCCC Dream Team, which you've heard us talk about. This is going to be the core team, and I'm sure it will change over time and we'll probably bring more folks into it, but this team is going to be providing leadership across the college and liaisoning with Achieving the Dream. And it includes Heather DeVries and Sheila Dinan, who are co-chairing the Dream Team, Sirhan Abdullah, student representative Alcia Batchelor, Alexa Riano, Claudia Delgado, David Clark, Elizabeth Nesius, Eric Friedman, Jason Figueroa. How's that pronounced? Figueroa. Jenny Pooh, Jen Christopher, Joe Caniglia, John Marlin, Lauren O'Gara, Lisa Doherty, Nick Chevroletti, Pamela Bandiopatia, and Patricia Clay. And I'm going to be serving as ex officio. So this work is now commencing. We in fact, are Sheila and Heather here? They're not, are they? They just led a process of putting together a lot of material. Some of you were involved in that for this. Material about data that we have, about things that we're currently doing, things that we think we need to be doing, all in preparation for what will be a kind of an immersive activity of our team in Phoenix with our coaches to begin to explore where we want to focus our energy in the coming year and then going beyond that. We have now scheduled 3 visits to campus next year of our 2 coaches, our leadership coach, Dr. Mary Fifield, and our data coach, Dr. Renee Garcia. You'll be hearing more about them. These visits will be held on August 27th and 28th. I think that coincides with College Service Day. November 21st and 22nd, and March 5th and 6th, 2020. During those 3 visits, as you probably heard, maybe ad nauseum by now, those coaches will be here, but our dream team, working with others, will be planning for the full engagement of the college community, including students. So as we begin to organize ourselves around what are the areas we want to focus on, because we can't do it all overnight, then we'll be setting up agendas of different groups of the college community, and also activities for the college community with the support and mentorship of our coaches. One of those is going to be completing college-wide and what they call an ICAT survey. They have developed institutional capacities around student success, and they have a survey that helps the college community assess where the community is in its development along these continuums. I think they're going to be asking us to complete that and then doing a half-day college-wide interactive workshop around that. So there's going to be a lot happening. Sheila and Heather are not here. Is there anything anyone else who's involved would want to add to what I just said? Okay, so the work's commencing, it's exciting, and you know, over time, I think there'll be opportunities for many of us to go to some of the conferences. There's an annual conference that a number of us went to that's phenomenal, and then they have institutes around particular areas of student success, often funded by organizations like the Aspen Institute and the Kellogg Foundation, that I think you will see us having an opportunity to send people to. They also have grant programs through fundraising that they do to assist us with our work. So it will be a true partnership, and I greatly look forward to watching it take shape here. And then moving to another item, I want to again thank over 300 of you for completing the IDEA survey of my leadership that was conducted by Kansas State University in late April. I have read every bit of the feedback multiple times, and I value all feedback provided. In order to be a servant leader, I think it's critical that I understand your perspectives on my work, how I can improve and grow, and your thoughts about how I can best serve you, our students, and our college. I mentioned in the last town hall, I had planned initially to just provide the results immediately to everyone and then have a conversation, but it became clear to me that so many of the narrative comments, and there are pages and pages of those, have a lot to do with our contract negotiations, so I really wanted to wait until those were finished before having this conversation. Now that they're about to be finished, sometime soon, I'm going to work with Patricia and her colleagues to provide all of the results unedited to everyone through the portal. You'll have an opportunity to go in and read them. And you know, ultimately, this isn't just about my leadership. It becomes you'll find there's a lot of feedback about our collective views of the college and where we're headed and where we need to head. And it really includes the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to provide that to everyone, and my hope is at our next town hall, you'll have had an opportunity at least to review it, and we can actually begin to talk about it. There are some very clear themes. I think now that we've come through the negotiation process, there's some opportunity to be able to discuss some of the concerns in the context of the outcomes of those contract negotiations. So the only thing that I will redact from the responses is any comments that were made about anyone other than me. There are a few of those. You'll just see them kind of blacked out. You'll be able to see where I've eliminated something, and that's the only thing I want to share with you. So again, I really appreciated the response. It's rich information, and it provides for me a baseline. There were a couple of comments about, was it a little early to do this? I'm envisioning doing this maybe every 2 years. That's what I've done in the past. But I wanted to get this baseline at the end of year one. And But anyway, all of that's for our future discussion. And I am delighted Zura's here. This seems to be, I'm always calling out people that aren't here, but we've identified, after a little bit of trepidation, we've identified a successful bidder for the North Hudson campus roof replacement project. And that contractor's approval will be included in tomorrow evening's board agenda. And with that approval, the work will take place in July and early August. We're going to completely replace the roof with a totally different kind of roof that should correct this problem once and for all. And we should be able to complete this before the new academic year begins, because you really do want to have a roof on your campus, right? And so I do want to thank Eurus Pujols and all of our patient and understanding colleagues at North Hudson, and Ilya, Veronica Zeichner, and our consultant Ted Domaraki for their work in securing bids and moving the process forward. And in addition, our student center renovation is in the construction phase and moving forward in full force. We also have a last minute hiccup there that's been resolved in terms of permitting. But that's in full force now. Ilya, do you want to comment on either of those? I didn't ask you to.
Well, yes, the roof project in the North Hudson campus, we're going to try to finish and move faculty back to their original offices on the 7th floor by the Labor Day weekend. Besides the roof replacement, as soon as it's going to be completed, we're going to be replacing the carpet. Purchase order already has been issued and we're ordering the materials, so it should be done before the faculty will be going up to the 7th floor. So when you guys are going to be moving to the 7th floor, you will see not only dry atmosphere over there, but also very nice carpet, very new one. And with the 81C, like I said, we're moving along. The all permits have been issued, so we are very optimistic about the progress on this project.
And I mentioned that Middle States we should hear from formally, finally, by the end of this month, or maybe just shortly before July 4th. So as soon as we do, we will let you know. I open to questions, comments. I welcome comments, concerns, questions, ideas, anything you want to share.
I do like the compliment how nice on the carpet.
Oh, doesn't it? It looks fantastic.
Looks great.
Brand new, and there's new park furniture that I haven't even seen yet. And you're not going to make me call people out, are you? Anything that anyone on the, let's say, President's Executive Council would like to share? Right? Any news, information? Oh, thank you.
We're starting the pilot of the recycling. We're going to start the pilot for the recycling program. And the first two buildings we're going to be involved in the library building and North Hudson campus. So the library starts as of today. There's going to be one big change which has been approved by the College Council, and actually it was implemented. We got these ideas from the Hudson County Improvement Authority. We are installing a lot of the recycling cans all over the building, but we're going to be removing the regular trash cans. Again, that's going to be kind of challenge, but that's the way to improve the recycling program, make a big change. So you will see starting today actually in the library building. Again, it's only a pilot. We're using two buildings right now, library and North Hudson campus. And during the summer, we'll see how it's going to go. And then we're going to review it, and maybe we're going to extend it to the whole campus.
Fantastic. And Elizabeth?
Is that, Ilya, why the recycling cans in, say, I building have all been removed?
Yes, we're trying to minimize right now our expenses because we're not sure that this recycling program will be going on. So we're trying to we're collecting all the recycling cans from all over the campus, concentrating two pilot buildings. And then in the fall, we're going to make a decision if that's going to be extended, then we're going to purchase more and we're going to fill it up with some more.
There's, yes.
The Online Center for Learning has presented the adjunct orientation at the adjunct orientation. It was very successful. 40 people attended, 40 faculty members, out of which 9 identified as teaching online only. And it was very interactive, and I want to thank Bob, who's not here, and Zakia, who's not here. They were really good. We came up with a new format that enabled them to have very interactive, very successful online orientation.
That's it. Tricia.
I encourage you all to go look on the portal. We now have the Hudson County Community College Fish Bowl, not fish like with an F, but with a PH. So if you see an email that you think is a little off, what we're doing is collecting there all the ones that we know about. So, and anytime you do see those messages that ask you to do something urgently, especially like doing things like buying gift cards and what have you, first of all, don't do that. But second of all, if you have any question, you can forward it to ITS at spam@hccc.edu or look at the fishbowl.
Great. Thank you. Louise?
Yes, I would like to thank Dean of Instruction, Dr. John Marlin, for showing up on Saturday to do a presentation about outcomes and learning for the Adjunct Faculty Conference. He did an excellent job. We were all engaged and everybody was so excited and charged up for the rest of the conference. And also for the Center of Online Learning, the presentation by Dr. Khan and Zakia. It was very well put together. We had lots of people that were interested, more than I've seen in the past, and at least one person did already email me and tell me that they've been to a lot of conferences like this and that this was one of the better ones. So kudos to everyone who participated.
Thank you for your leadership. Others? One other piece of good news I'll share is that we had our meeting with the Board of School Estimates to request our annual allocation from the county, and they have increased our allocation by 7.5%, which is unheard of. Yeah. That's not enough money to cover the cost of the contract negotiations, but it sure helps. And I want to thank Veronica. It was a very positive meeting, and many of you know last year they also increased our budget significantly. They created the new Secaucus site budget, and $500,000 annual allocation for our IT kinds of related expenses. And so this was on top of that, and we're certainly grateful to them. Yeah. I think the governor is watching what we're doing. It's nice to have him at the commencement, and he is very much aware of the fact that we are leading the pack right now in the number of students we are serving through the Community College Opportunity Grant, and we're all now poised to see what the legislature does. Boy, it looks tough in Trent right now, what they're going to do with the budget and what that will mean for CCOG. I had a pretty optimistic phone conference call with all of our community college presidents. We're cautiously optimistic that program will be continued next year. Don't know how much money beyond what we had this year will come. We think we will at least be a baseline of what we had this year with broader parameters and hopefully more money. But stay tuned on that one because it's coming down to the wire. Other questions, comments? Here's where I'm going to start. Some of you have been working incredibly hard, as we're finishing these contracts. I can tell you this weekend there was just a flurry of email back and forth, making sure everybody's on the same page, and I really do appreciate everybody's support. I'm looking at Anna because I know she was she was in the heavy thick of it, and I think we got to have all the issues resolved. Comments, Tanya? Anything you want to tell us, Patrick?
Everything's good.
Everything's good.
Everything's good. You feel safe? Everybody feel safe?
No fires. Others? Matt, can you tell us anything about enrollment?
Sure. Hi, everyone. We do have a one-stop coming up on Wednesday next week, June 19th. Students can apply, test, and register all in one day, and we're also waiving the $25 application fee. And also, any student that registers, backed by popular demand, we're giving out free sunglasses to any student that registers. That's what students kept asking for us to bring back. So the last time we did it was 2017. If staff discount, if there's any left over, staff will get it for free, yes. But that's the big event we have going on in June, and we'll have other one-stops. We'll have an ice cream truck coming up in August. We have some registration days in July. But right now, the biggest thing is the one-stop, so we're really pushing for that. So if you see any students, please share with them. It's for new students, returning students, readmits, anybody. Okay?
And yeah, Lisa, thank you. She dutifully sends out like 150 reports every Monday. Not that many, but I appreciate it because it helps us all know where we are. I think, if I remember correctly, summer 1 is up like 2%, and summer 2 is up like 7%. Fall is down, but we're starting to make some progress. We're going to close that. And of course, we have time there, but we're down, I think, 5+% in FTE. Good news, summer 1's up, which helps us a little bit finishing out our current year. Summer 2 starts our new year really well, and then we hope we start to see more and more progress for fall. And this, again, is the result of everybody's efforts, so thank you.
And something we've been talking about is we don't know if CCOG is having an impact, if some students are waiting to July 1st to find out whether the free tuition is coming through or not. So we'll be curious to see what type of impact that does have once it is passed on, it'll hopefully pass on July 1st.
I want to note that the governor's office, the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education, has set up as part of their strategic plan for New Jersey's higher education future, some working groups that are going to be working around some very major issues, one of which is student success. And Jose Lowe and our new SGA President Warren Rigby and I are on that student success committee. I hope we'll go together on Thursday. I think we have folks on other committees. Am I remembering correctly? Does anybody know? I should have been over here to talk about that. There's several others where I think we have representatives. But this is going to give us, I think, the fact that we have that opportunity on this new Student Success Committee as we are beginning our Achieving the Dream work, and this is such a priority here, is all going to be sort of mutually supportive. Anna, thank you.
Sorry, I've just been organizing my thoughts between the weekend negotiations, finalizations, and the upcoming board packet. So I'm past my 3rd month. There's been a lot of involvement in the thick of things and negotiations, but I do just want to mention a couple of things that I would like to start looking more intensely in terms of our onboarding process. And so I presented a little bit of something to our PDC committee, but it's really an entire sort of college community effort in terms of how we welcome our new employees, how the departments welcome their employees and supervisors, kind of what plan we have for them. We want them to succeed, we want them to stay, of course, and we want them to be really integrated into our college community. And so it's not just the first day, not even the first week or the first month, it's really kind of how we integrate that. So that's something we're looking more into, and for lack of anything formal on the portal, I welcome you to reach out to me if you do have new people coming on board, and we can talk about sort of some of the things that your department can do, or maybe we can make sure that happens at the college level. So that's the first thing. Another thing I wanted to mention, so we're going to continue with our Coffee with HR hour, and Jose and I talked about having the administrative union leadership basically be present for the coffee hour, sort of meet your leaders. We can talk about the MOA and some of the changes. I know some employees have reached out to me individually. I'm sure Jose has questions, so we wanted to use that as an opportunity for the next coffee hour with HR. So that's going to will likely happen in a few weeks. So just watch out for that announcement.
All good. And Lori, I'm going to call you out because you were interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Right? I wasn't, by the way, but you thought I was. Which is okay. I never got my call, but tell us about it.
Yeah, it was very exciting. They called about the apprenticeship program,
And so they wanted to hear about it. They spoke to Mayor Fulop, and then actually went to Eastern Millwork and met with some of the apprentices. So I'm gonna touch base with him today, the reporter, to see if he could let us know when the article will appear so that we can all see it. Yeah, very
And do
excited.
you want to mention the business entrepreneurship event on Thursday?
Yeah, very exciting event on Thursday. Susanna Bauman, who had an event here, I think, last fall, Latinas for Business, and it's an entrepreneurship event. I'm sure it's going to be very exciting, lots of people here. President Reber is going to be giving a welcome remarks, and First Lady Tammy Murphy will be giving the luncheon keynote. So that will take place on Thursday, most of the day here, so that should be an exciting event.
Very exciting, great,
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff. Others? If he still wants to talk to me, I'd be happy to. Dean Moreland, anything you would like to share with us?
Why not?
It's always got fun.
We had a really great OER workshop on May 28th. We had about 14 faculty there. We had our instructional design team with Bob and Zakia, and we had more librarians there than I knew we employed. So all those faculty got a really good head start towards fielding textbook-free and instructional material costless classes for this fall. And we'll be keeping the momentum going through the summer and getting those in place.
How about concerns? Are there any concerns that you want to talk about?
Actually, first and foremost, I think it's fantastic, the union negotiations that were made with the staff union. They deserve it. I mean, staff members work very hard, and I think for a long time, it wasn't recognized, as far as salary is concerned. And really, congratulations to the staff. I well deserved. But going forward, when I started at the college, it was like, this is what your salary is, no increment raise, you know. I've seen in the last 5 years, big raises, big title changes. I'm here 26 years. There are people here 10 years making $5,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, going forward with these negotiations and policies, are they going to look at things like longevity? Are they going to look at things like the standard here? You know, there's certain titles. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It doesn't seem to be, I'm going by what I was told when I started here. I started at a very low salary, and the only increases I've received were raises, you know, what everybody else received. There's a difference now with the unions versus, say, me. So when I say go.
Because you're confidential.
Because I'm confidential, but I'm confidential staff. I'm
Right,
not
right.
I'm not an administrator.
Yes.
And I think the college, I think people in the college sometimes think, because it's been said to me, oh, well, the confidentials get so much more. We don't. I think.
This is a point that, you know, honestly, just this morning, someone that made me aware of this, and it had not registered with me, and now it has.
But not just that. There are people in the administration union, for instance, that are like, they're not staff, but maybe they have poor, you know, and again, they're not getting high salaries. But, you know, to me, they're just the inequity in certain places. And I'm not saying me,
Yeah.
I'm saying in general, is that gonna all be looked at?
Yes,
moving
this is
forward,
absolutely-
policy and procedure?
This is absolutely the next big step for us.
Good.
So this is when I talk about the creating a position classification system, this is infrastructure that we don't currently have
Right.
that will involve setting and establishing, I'm speaking, I'm not an HR person, so but like, here's my concept of what will happen, and this will all be something we will run together. we're going to be looking across the college at establishing families of employees in all areas. So we're going to be looking at all positions and actually creating a position classification system so that when positions are developed or refined or revised or reclassified, there will be a common HR best practice process that will determine where a position should be. We're going to be looking at nomenclature so that we are calling similar things the same thing. We're going to be looking at salary ranges for each family of employee, minimum, midpoint, maximum. And as we do that whole process, which will require us to look at every single position, we'll be asking everyone to update their position description with their supervisor. It will cause us to be able to bring clarity to where we have internal equity issues, and we will address those. That will be part of our ongoing work together. It will definitely be manifest in the next contracts. In fact, I committed to that in strong language in the Professional Association contract. And then my hope is this system, which and I've been used to these kinds of systems in other places, so this is the first time I've been in a place where we don't have it. And the lack of that, in my view, is a major reason why we've had disparities and we've had inconsistencies. We don't have the infrastructure that tries to make sure we're making decisions equitably. We have established criteria that are also rooted in market in terms of where positions should be salaried. I think right now we have a mishmash of titles that need to be clarified. So that's all work that we're committed to doing, and we know we have to, and we know we are, in spite of the fact that I think you can make a case that the vast majority of our employees have in this past year seen a palpable improvement in their salary. Nonetheless, there are lots of examples like you're citing of needing to continue to focus on, okay, where are there inequities, where are there inconsistencies? That's the next big step.
Well, it's also the last 5 years, finance, or people will know, we've been asked to pay more an hour.
Exactly.
And the raises don't match that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I make less, if I went back 8 years, I'd probably take home less.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've tried, so like I said earlier, there were when there were opportunities this year, and this will be true going forward, we're going to try to seize on them. They don't always happen just sort of at the time that it makes sense across the college. So, when we have vacancies, God forbid someone passes away or leaves us, or there's a new need, there's an unfunded mandate that we have to address. As we have to do that kind of work, we're trying to do it in a way that, where there are opportunities, we consider this. So rather than just always having the mindset, oh, we have a vacancy, let's hire a new person, let's do a search. This year, we looked at whether we could do restructuring that would actually give some employees opportunities internally, and I think we achieved that. Now, that then does raise concerns. Well, I see Sally's getting this, but I'm not. I understand that. That's sort of part of the challenge of all of it. But we did make progress for a number of internal employees, not only at the executive level, but at mid-level, and we're now seeing that begin to manifest itself in the support level. So that's one piece of work that will probably continue to be a work in progress. And as we were doing some of that, I want to emphasize, when there were internal changes made in titles or in salaries, these were a function this year. First of all, when you have a 25-year presidency and a new president, you always have changes like that are made. But beyond that, any changes in salaries or titles were a function of changes in position responsibilities.
But
So,
my title was changed.
yeah, well,
Yeah, there was no increase.
okay, well, we've made some, okay, I'm talking about the
No, but I'm
larger
saying-
increases have been a result of, it isn't just, oh, now we're trying to sweeten the pot for so-and-so. I mean, we made significant changes in job responsibilities, sometimes in lieu of hiring someone. And we did all of that pretty much on a cost-neutral basis. I think I'm saying that correctly. So there were positions that are in our classification table that are not filled, or positions that we eliminated, and so through restructuring, we always were focused on doing what we thought was right to advance the agenda, but in some cases, it led to early opportunities for existing employees that may, I mean, I know there was some, concern about, well, why is that? Well, these were all what I would call reclassifications, cognizant with new or different responsibilities, but they provided a family of opportunities for some of our existing employees. There have been some title changes we've made because we have inconsistencies, and so now financial aid just changed the name of their enterprise from financial assistance to financial aid. That resulted in a bunch of title changes. But so that's one piece of it. The $15 per hour gave us another opportunity. Now the 4 CBAs, but guess what? There's a lot more work to do. And we did. So I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to look at all of the the elements of these contracts, but essentially the core elements are where we've had an expired contract, which I think is true in every case, or maybe all of them. Where we had to go backward, we went back 2% a year, which is what everyone else got, and what was in the budget at that time. And those budgets are done, but going forward for the next 3 years, it's 4, 4, 4 for every one of our collective bargaining associations, except for those that are earning salaries of 100K or more, where it's 3% instead of 4%. And then for confidentials, and I think this is really where you're coming from, confidentials represent, in some cases, folks who benefited from the process of reclassification and restructuring, and in some cases, we're talking about our executive level salaries, but there are also confidential staff, as you indicate, that are not even close to the 100K level. We did make the decision that confidentials would get 3%, which is 50% more than master, which was 2%. But we put a differential in place there. And now I'm recognizing that for some employees, it would be nice to see that this is something we'll work on. I mean, that's one example. There are examples across the board. I've had concerns in a number of areas. They're kind of little anomalies. We've made major progress, but then it's created sort of a new wrinkle. So it's absolutely going to be work that we are continuing to focus on. We will not get to a perfect place probably ever, but we're going to keep making progress. So we want to keep talking about where we see the issues and concerns. Yes.
Just to follow up, I wanted to add to Linda's another group of confidential employees who have been overlooked for quite some time are college lecturers. They're 12-month employees. Their salary was originally created by prorating out faculty salaries from many years ago. Faculty salaries have gone up and continue to go up, which is wonderful, but we're not seeing the equivalent. And besides the employees who are already here thinking about hiring more, I've got one right now who it's gonna be hard for me to justify to someone, I think potentially soon, well, you work 12 months and your salary is this, and there's a 10-month tenure track position with a salary that's nearly the same.
So, that's another example. So we know we have these issues we have to keep working on. I'm not letting you go that easily. Any other questions or concerns? Because this is where I'd like us to talk about these kinds of things. So I appreciate your reason. Yeah. Okay, well, Lisa.
Yes, I would just like to thank, those that made the comments, Elizabeth, and you, Dr. Reber, for, having this opportunity. I think that it means a lot to be able to say what it is that you would like to see happen, and to be able to get an answer about what is either happening or going to happen. I think that can help employees to realize that though things may not be, totally fixed right at the moment, but that someone is actually working on it, and a person that we can trust to believe to get things done because other things have gotten done. So I really appreciate you and people like Linda for being able to, speak out. Not that anyone asked her to do that, but, being a person that is confidential myself. And I just really appreciate it. And Elizabeth, I'm sure college lecturers would be, it's good to have someone who can speak up for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just powerful. So I thank you for creating this atmosphere for that.
Well, thank you, and it's your input that informs what I do, which is why I want to hear it. And you certainly have, as a college community, share it with me. We're working on it together. All righty. Anything else for the good of the order? Jen, anything you want to share?
I could give everyone an update on the website.
Yes.
So the iFactory will be here on July 29th for the kickoff of the committee, and they'll be interviewing and meeting with specific groups on that date. That will be the official start of the project.
So this is a massive total reorganization of our website, which is exciting. Yeah, this will be involving everybody. It'll be a year-long focus. All right, well, thank you so much. I hope your summers are off to a good start. I don't know, it's moving quickly, isn't it? And I hope you're enjoying the 4-day weekends. I know I am.
Yes.
Thank you much. Thanks for everything you do.